What's up everyone, and welcome back to Hicksville MTB. It's been 5 long years since the last video on the old Recoil, and it's seen somewhere between 500 and 600 miles in that time frame. Today I'll go over how some of those upgrades have held up, as well as some upgrades I've made since then. Timestamps in the description below. So let's take a look at how it's fared and see what's in store for it next. Let's start with the rear shock. I replaced the original pogo stick with a DMN shock off Amazon. The DMN shock, don't know why I have so much trouble saying that, worked okay, but with its dual air chamber design it was a bit difficult to tune. The biggest issue I had was the low pressure chamber leaked down pretty much on a monthly basis. So I replaced it with this X-Fusion E1 RL shock by accident. Yeah, so I had this one and a Suntour shock saved in my eBay watch list and bought the wrong one by mistake. However, this shock has turned out to be great. It feels much more plush and somehow seems more supportive at the same time. I don't know a whole lot about this particular model. It does appear to be an older design, but hey, for 130 bucks when I bought it, it works. Next up, we have the Suntour XCR fork. Other than being on the heavy side, this fork has been fantastic. I've ridden all kinds of terrain and it's never let me down. I've even hit a few jumps that the fork, and the bike for that matter, were never really designed for. This fork just keeps plugging along. The most amazing part, which I'm ashamed to admit, it's never been serviced. At all. Moving on to the Derailleur. After turning the stock derailleur into a pretzel, this upgrade made a huge difference. It's been working just fine, but over the past 6 months, the shifter cable housing has started unraveling, and shifting is not very good at the moment. It's also worth noting that the original chain and cassette are completely shot. I'll admit, routine maintenance might have been overlooked. The tires I originally installed were working fine, but had a few drawbacks. The knobby nick didn't have enough bite for my liking, and the Navigal had plenty of traction, but tons of rolling resistance. So when my local performance bike closed down, I picked up these Pisca Fortes in a dual compound and a 2.3 wide width for only 15 bucks a piece. Although they are a bit big for the 19mm internal width rim, the tires work great on this bike. Perfect balance between traction and rolling resistance. I really wish I had grabbed a second set though, since the side lugs are starting to tear out. You may have already noticed that the Recoil is rocking a different set of bars. During the pandemic, I spent a fair amount of time on a greenway close to where I lived and noticed that the Marin bars I had installed were actually bent a little. Most likely the result of this crash. I wanted to try something with a little more rise, so I went with these nuke-proof Sam Hill bars with a 38mm rise, 6 degree up, and 9 degree back sweep. I love these bars. They feel fantastic. Something about them feels very relaxed. They also seem to have a fair amount of flex without feeling sloppy. I started with them at 780mm and currently have cut them down to 770. $70 well spent in my opinion. Let's talk about the only fail on the upgrade list, the Clark's brakes. I was so stuck on finding a set of cheap white brakes to match the fork that I ignored the negative reviews on these particular brakes. They don't stop any better than the mechanical Tektros and have been extremely problematic. The rear refuses to lock up if you need it to, and with just randomly like 30% more stopping power whenever it feels like it. A brake bleed probably wouldn't hurt, but I don't think it will help much. A set of Shimano MT200s would have been a much better choice. Form over function never works out. Lesson learned. Let's move on. Remember me complaining about the seat? About the mild whale tail it has? Yeah, well, it's not really that bad. The more time I've spent on the saddle, the more I've come to appreciate it. It fits correctly, and my ass isn't numb after riding for 10 miles. Not much more I can say about it. Now for the upgrades I've made since the last video. 2 of them, the shock and the tires, we've already covered, which leaves pedals and a new to me wheel set. The pedals I went with were Race Face Chesters. They have good reviews, and buying them when I bought my Sam Hill bars, it gave me free shipping, which effectively made them only $25 with the savings. The stock Recoil pedals were starting to wear down, and these made a huge improvement in staying on the pedals. Lastly, we have the new to me wheel set. Actually, we have 2. Let me explain. First, I got this wheel set from a local bike shop, and they were basically like new. If memory serves me correct, I paid either $75 or $100. Then, a month or 2 later, I see this set on Facebook Marketplace. Almost the same wheel set, but these have red stickers and a red hub. So, the red set became my new trail wheels, and the other set were dedicated to Greenway wheels, with the tires that were given to me by the same bike shop I bought the wheels from. The new wheel set did seem to tighten up the bike, just gave it a bit more of a polished feel. Who says you can't polish a turd? Now that we've covered the Recoil's past, what's in store for the future? I have 3 or 4 more upgrades in store to complete this build. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, link below, you may already know. If not, make sure to hit that subscribe button below and you'll be notified when the next video drops. Until next time, thanks for watching Hicksville MTB.